I all hope you're all doing well today. We're back predicting more Premier League scores. Round two, we didn't do too fantastically on week one, and that's because there was just so many surprise results. I mean, we're talking Ipswich beating Sunderland, Hull beating Manchester United, Brighton dismantling Villa. It was a bit of a crazy opening day weekend. Obviously, it makes it even more gutting that West Ham aren't a part of it, but it just shows why this league is so good. It is just fantastic. I think the only thing that was like nailed on that actually did happen was Arsenal beating Coventry, but everything else was just good old fashioned Premier League. You never know what's going to happen. So let's get into these because we obviously have got a full 10 games to predict. Obviously, we kick off on the Friday night with Palace City and then with Aston Villa Arsenal. So let's go through them one by one, have some fun. Here we go. Let's keep it short. Let's try and keep it to a minute or two tops per team per game. Let's start off with Palace. Palace are taking on Manchester City. Palace lost 2-0 to Everton, of course. Not even the worst display in the world. They had some big chances. Mateta smacking the post. Pickford making an absolutely worldy save. And of course, Palace have had a lot of change over the last, X amount of months. Obviously, they had Gay go to City. Then Glasner announced he was leaving. And then even over the recent summer, of course, they've had who knows what's going on with Mateta. Thought he was having knee problems, then wasn't. And then Lacroix goes to Chelsea. Another centre-back, another really good centre-back that's obviously left the club. They've been going through a lot of change in the last 6 months, and I do think they will have a bit of a tricky season this year. But as I say, just not an ideal opening day for them. With Everton, just to be honest, scoring two great goals. Manchester City, on the other hand, I'll tell you what, thought for the world that they weren't going to get anything out of that. Really didn't. Marcus Tavernier, fantastic goal. Bournemouth looked really lively, and under Marco Rose, I was really surprised. I didn't know what to expect. I thought City would do it, maybe not comfortably, but I didn't think they'd have to leave it so last minute. But I tell you what, played some nice football. Foden back in that starting lineup. Really good start, of course, for Enzo Maresca. I think just getting the win on the board was more important than maybe even the performance. Who knows? But obviously, Gay had a really big chance, missed it. Got a second chance late on, which luckily put away a deflection off the back of one of the Bournemouth players. I think it was Adrian Trufer. But then, as you know, Josko Gvardiol, what a massive miss he was for them last season. He is so good going forward. It's a joke. It's like when games get late on, they need a goal. He almost turns into like a forward player. He is just fantastic. Was a massive loss for City. And yeah, he grabs the goal. So look, Palace, obviously Selhurst Park is an easy place to go to, but surely City have got enough to beat this Palace side at the moment, especially with uh, uh, maybe a confidence boosting start, getting those two late goals. I'm sure it'll be a feel good factor at the moment. So I am going to back City to win. I'm going to back them to win 2-0. Unfortunately, a back-to-back 2-0 defeats for Palace is my prediction. Liverpool take on Nottingham Forest. What did I think of Liverpool Newcastle? I thought it was a fantastic game as a neutral. I mean, the penalty at the end was a bit unconvincing, but it was one of those, once it was given, fair enough. You can't expect VAR to overturn that. In my opinion, anyway. So obviously Liverpool go to St James's Park, which is not an easy start. Get a point. I wasn't overly impressed with Isak and Verts again. I really thought Isak would have showed up, but then again, he maybe didn't have the best service in the world to sort of feed off. But anyway, Nottingham Forest, disappointing at home. First manager under Glasner. Anton Stack, the long range free kick specialist, creeping it to the corner. As I say, Nottingham Forest did create chance, but I really think Leeds are going to be a really good side this season. And I still don't think Nottingham Forest are going to be pushing, much further than sort of that, maybe 14th place in the league. I still think they're going to be in that sort of bottom 6 or 7. So, look, Liverpool at Anfield, under the new boss. I think Victor Munoz deserves a bit of a mention as well, because I think he was really, really lively when he came on, considering the likes of sort of England didn't really impress me much either. But yeah, another good game. You never know what to expect from the Reds at the moment, but I think Liverpool have got enough just about to do this. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Liverpool win. Moving on to Bournemouth Everton. We've touched on Bournemouth. They were really unlucky to not at least take home a point, I think is the best way to put it. I think a point would have been, a pretty fair result. Didn't happen. But they've got a good chance to bounce back at home at the Vitality. Marco Rose's first game at home, to get behind the crowd. Really small, compact stadium. New season. Got European football, of course, this year. So be handy for them to get some points on the board early doors because, it's going to be a new venture for them trying to balance that Europe football as well as the Premier League football. But of course, they've got to play a Moyes side. They're just never easy to beat, are they? They're just never, ever easy to beat a David Moyes side. And then they can always get you a bit of quality up top or a bit of counter-attacking football. And they showed that in dry assist for Tiano Barry. Dewsbury Hall with a fantastic goal. Really solid opening display from Everton. So, yeah, it's be a good game as well. But I tell you what, I'm back in Bournemouth. I think they look a really good side yet again this year. Look defensively solid. Look like they've got a really good forward line. Even players like Alex Scott is brilliant. I think Tavernier looks really good and lively all the time. I think he's like a solid 7 out of 10 every game. I'm going to go for Bournemouth to win this one. And I'm going to go for a Bournemouth 1-0 win. Should be a good game, though. We have battle of the two newly promoted sides. Completely different weekends for them both. Coventry getting a bit of a reality check of a welcome to the Premier League after a 3-0 defeat to Arsenal. And I tell you what, I think if Arsenal really wanted to switch on, it could have been a lot more. Of course, Rodoni did have a late chance to get a bit of a consolation and get their first goal in the league, but Arsenal deserve that fully. We don't need to touch on Coventry anymore. You cannot judge them off that one. There is a long way to go in this season, and they've got to play a whole side who are going to be brimming with confidence. What a fantastic performance that was against Manchester United. Some of the new boys were fantastic. Ollie McBurney was outrageously good, and I mean outrageously good. He did everything, worked his socks off, held the ball up, played the ball nicely, had a chance at a couple of goals. He was everywhere. He was genuinely fantastic, and that's coming from a person who was maybe a bit critical before the start of the season, saying, can Hull ever stay out with a striker like McBurney? But he was fantastic. Anyway, two different sides. One coming off the back of 3-0 defeat, one coming off an opening day win at home. You tell me, bottle out 1-1 for this. It's a proper bottle, isn't it? Tottenham Newcastle. Tottenham. Do you even want me to go there? I'm a West Ham fan. I was chuffed. Brentford were phenomenal. It's trying to weigh up whether Tottenham were really that bad or whether Brentford were really that good. I think it's a bit of both. And there's no doubt about it. Tottenham had a couple of chances, but it was almost like the game was done by the time they had some big chances. As I say, I know they've got a few players coming. It might take time to gel, but there's a big part of me that thinks, I'm not angry, but God, you should have stuck with Thomas Frank. But time will tell. I could be wrong. But we'll see. Newcastle lost Bruno Guimaraes, of course. They've lost. Look, we don't need to go through it. Tonali. They've lost some big players throughout the summer, but they looked like a team. They looked like a team against Liverpool. They will feel really hard done by it. Didn't get a point. Obviously, had a couple players missing. Malik Chow looked really good. Osula looks really good. Alanga looks pacey, quick, fast. They look a bit more of a team. They even Dedic on his debut looked really good. This is brave. This is a big shout I'm about to make here. And it's not just from a West Ham fan, but I still think Tottenham aren't there yet. I still think they look very disjointed. And I think Newcastle might go away and win this one. 2-1 Newcastle. I'm going for it. Away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 2-1. Let's see how it goes. Chelsea-Brighton. Chelsea, I've literally, it is 10:30 on Monday night. I've watched, bar the first 20 minutes, I did watch the highlights just to see the goal, so I knew what I was talking about. Robert Sanchez is... How are you spending all that money, but Robert Sanchez is still in goal? I don't get it. But here's the good news for Chelsea fans. Palmer and Rodgers look fantastic. João Pedro look fantastic. That front three is arguably now one of the best in the league. Everyone else behind was almost a defender. It seemed to work. Obviously I know they got that Josh King, scored a fantastic goal. But Chelsea, they really should have. Once they got that third, you really expected them to go on and wrap it up. Didn't. Fulham came back and big fair play to them. I thought a couple of the new signs good. We'll get to those in a minute. But Chelsea, there's clearly a lot of work to do there, and I do think Xabi Alonso's the right man. I am expecting Chelsea to have a good season. That front three alone should be getting you top four. For me personally, let alone the fact then you've brought in some experience. You've then got sort of Lavia's fit at the moment. James is fit. Obviously you've brought in Maxence Sakwa, who is a really good centre back, I think, and even got that fantastic assist. Actually, I thought he overtouched it, but cut it back nicely, and in the back of the net it goes. So it'll be an interesting season for them. Got the win. That's the most important thing, away from home in a bit of a London derby. But they've got to play a Brighton side that just look. We'll get on Aston Villa in a minute and how poor they look. We will touch on that in a moment. But Brighton, what a result! What a player Jack Hinchelwood is starting to look. He looks like a really good player back end of last season. Then he opens opens his account with 2 goals on open day with a fantastic performance as well. Should be a really good game. Chelsea have lots of ex-Brighton players. It's always a good game between these two. Really, really difficult to call. Really, really difficult to call. I'm going to back Brighton to go there and get a point. A bit like Tottenham, I don't think Chelsea are there yet. I think they've got a bit of work to do. And I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. We'll see. We'll see. Leeds versus Brentford. Leeds, what a fantastic start for them. I don't need to touch on them too long. 1-0 win. Away from home, good performance, had some other good chances as well. Matt Sells made some fantastic saves through that game. I think they've improved. I think massive goalie upgrade. Trafford's a brilliant signing, clean sheet for him on his Leeds Premier League debut, of course. And Harry Wilson, what an excellent sign that is. And you mix that in with, if they could keep the likes of Noah Okafor fit, Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit, they look really, really strong going forward, as well as a lot more defensively sort of resolute than they've ever looked. So it's a very, very exciting season, I think, to be a Leeds fan. Very, very exciting. But they have got to come up against a Brentford side who, as I say, I don't know enough yet. You need another couple of game weeks before I can judge Brentford. Because what they've done so fantastically well is, of course, they've lost Henderson. But what they've done so well is kept their squad together. No one's come and picked up Thiago. No one's come and picked up Sharda or, Ouattara or Kayode had a brilliant first season. They've all stayed, but they've added. And I've seen French reporters say that Sangare is meant to be the dogs, the expression. And I tell you what a start for him. 2 assists as well for him, I believe. I think it was 2 assists. He's going to be a serious, serious baller. Mark my words. He is going to be a serious baller. But Brentford to go away home, I should say, but to beat Tottenham 3-0, didn't even need the forward players to score. Thiago didn't even score, and they missed a penalty, of course. This could, I think, be one of the games of the weekend, and it's really tough to call. I think it's going to be, like the one above, an exciting 2-2 draw. Could be a corker, that game. Really, really could be a corker. If I get a chance to stick that one on, I think I'd choose that over the Chelsea Brighton or the next game, the Sunderland Fulham game. Sunderland, of course, stunned Ipswich. Fantastic opening day performance at home for them. Of course, the only goal Sunderland got was, to be fair, an absolute worldy free kick. I mean, the free kick from Angola was, oh God, it was fantastic. But Jack Clark winning from late on. Look, I think Sunderland will still have another good season. I still expect them to be sort of around that mid-table. But yeah, they looked a bit underwhelming, bit deflating. But as I say, again, it's so early doors. Teams aren't set yet. The transfer window's still open. Changes are still happening. You can't read too much into the first few games. And they're taking on Fulham side. We've just mentioned them, just watched them. Really liked a couple of their new signs. Didn't really see enough of Shea Charles. But I tell you what, Gonzalo, he puts himself about. Gets a goal on the opening day as well. Josh King looked fantastic. Even though it's a really young squad, it looks like a bunch of youngsters that are quite mature. And not only that, just a bunch of youngsters that just work so hard, but they've managed to keep that balance of that experience at the back and in the midfield with Sanderberg and Calvin Bassey and Timothy Castagne, Anthony Robinson, of course, and Leno N'Golo is a fantastic keeper. I'm a really big admirer of him. I think he's a very reliable keeper. So another interesting one, where I do think one of the teams is going to win it, but I don't know who. I can't call these apart. Where do we go? What's everyone else think? I've got to hear people's predictions on this one. I think it's one of the toughest ones to predict. I'm going to go for a Fulham 2-1 away win. At the stadium like that seems crazy. Oh, it is crazy. 1-1. 1-1. Done. 1-1. 1-1. Bottle job. I know. Man United Ipswich, the penultimate game. The 4:30 Super Sunday kickoff. Manchester United, what a poor opening day that was. They looked second best the entire game. Big players were off the ball, and Burmo looked really poor, who I'm expecting to have a really good season, to be fair, under his second year at United, but looked tremendously poor. Fair play, Tal. I know there was that interview going around with Tielemans and Rio Ferdinand saying they hadn't done much fitness work, and God, I tell you what, I believe him now. I really believe him. They looked, they just didn't look up to the pace that Hull were, and yeah, I think they've got to get, they've just got to get fitter quicker, because it was a shocking performance, and Hull were worth those 3 points. 365 days a year. Ipswich, of course, we touched on them. Very excited. Jack Clark, really good limbs. I'm really pleased with him because last time in the Premier League, they had to start their first 2 games of the season, I think, against Liverpool and Manchester City. So to be able to come in and have a home game and get that win, I'm pleased for him. I think they deserve that, especially after they had a bit of a rocky summer with Kieran McKenna announced he was leaving, which would have been really disappointing for him, of course. I was just quite pleased for him, and it's nice to see that apart from Coventry and Undersunny, so the newly promoted sides had a fantastic weekend, didn't they? This one though at Old Trafford. Tails up. They have got to win this. They have got to win this, and I think they will. I'm going to go Manchester United 3-1. They've just got to win. I just can't see Ipswich winning this, but prove me wrong, because I'm not going to complain if you prove me wrong, Ipswich. I'm really not. I'll be loving it. Last but not least, Aston Villa Arsenal. Not going to touch too much on Arsenal, purely because we know their quality. They've got depth in every single position. They dismantle Coventry. They will have tougher games ahead, of course. I don't think that Coventry is the best one to sort of, judge Arsenal on this season, but really, really good. Zolis, new sign, looks really good. Calafiori looks fantastic. Looks a bit like a Gvardiol, one of those sort of players that looks really, really good going forward. Obviously, Konza will probably be available for this one against his old side. So Arsenal are just going strength at the moment, and they just look by far the favourites to win the league, which is a bit annoying. But Aston Villa, let's just very, very quickly touch on them to wrap up this video because it has been a long one. They're not. I'm not the biggest fan of Villa. I think some of it's jealousy that I always hope that West Ham would have been where they're at, qualifying for Champions League and etc. when we moved into that new stadium. But wow, they've been done by the PSR. They are. You just feel for him a bit, and I feel for Unai Emery because what a fantastic manager, and it's almost to the point is I think this might be his last season just because he's taken Aston Villa I think as far as he possibly can. Qualifying for the Champions League twice, Villa is just an insane achievement. He's a fantastic manager, but they've lost Tielemans this summer, they've lost Rodgers this summer, they've lost Konza this summer, Digne, obviously Martinez looks on the way out, Watkins could be on his way out, obviously Anana's got an ACL injury. Their squad has been depleted, and I looked at their lineup against Brighton, I just thought that is not a side that should be anywhere near Champions League football this year, personally. Look, I feel for them, and I think they'll be safe because they've got a brilliant manager in Unai Emery, and just having Unai Emery alone is enough to just get you up 5 places. Honestly, he's been a fantastic manager for the club, but at the moment, to play Arsenal, even if you're at home at Villa Park or not, I think it's just way too big of a task, and I could see Arsenal coming to Villa Park and getting a very comfortable 2-0 win. But yeah, it's slightly worrying times, Villa. It really is, especially as they've even got like new players that they've signed, like Manzambi, who's already out injured. It could be a long season ahead for Villa. It really could, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see their transfer window with obviously Martinez still there, Watkins still there, and who they bring in. Of course, it'll be really interesting to see what goes on at Villa over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So there you go. There's all 10 Premier League fixtures predicted. Let me know in the comments, what you think. Please give me your score predictions because I think there's some mega interesting ones this week. But look, I'm going to leave it there. Hit the hay, get some sleep, and look forward to watching some more football tomorrow because West Ham are on the box versus Southampton. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.